The Watchers, the newest movie on the big screen. Let's talk about it. So, The Watchers is the newest movie brought to you by the daughter of M. Night. Yes, okay, so we all know what M. Night's like. M. Night is a director who has some absolute bangers like Signs, like Unbreakable, like Split, where you're just like, that is just unbelievably good. And then he has some absolute stinkers. Let's be real. So here's a hit and miss. So his daughter has come up with this movie, The Watchers, and the trailers looked really good. The trailers looked very intriguing. This sort of creature being, whatever it is, sitting behind the glass that everyone is in there, just watching people, learning, adapting, doing what we do at the aquarium when we're watching sharks just swim. Like, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Why do we do that? I don't know. Humans are just a fascinating creature that likes to just watch animals do things. I don't know. That's just what we do. So, what did I think of The Watchers? Now, this does feel like M. Night. This feels very much like that. Obviously, she's probably been studying under him, going to work with him, learning the craft under him. And I'm not going to say M. Night's a bad director. The guy has the ability to be a great director. So, learning under him is great. But like I said, this does feel like he has a lot of influence. Like, his style is all over this movie. Now, I feel like some people are going to like this movie and some people aren't going to like it. It's traditional M. Night sort of feel. You don't know. It could go either way. But I don't mind this movie. Now, I think the concept and idea is very intriguing and interesting. And the first two acts, I was all in. I was like, okay, here we go. I really love the first two acts. I think that's so good. I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat. What they do really, really good, what she does is she has these things that are watching the people, but she never shows you what they are until obviously they get revealed in the third act. But she takes the idea of not showing you them, but having the silhouettes running through the dark and everything like that. So it just adds that extra tension to it because you don't know what these are. Are they regular humans? Are they demonic beings? Are they aliens? What are these things? So you're automatically, the mystery around them is there because you just don't know. And it just adds that tension when they're in the forest and you can hear them breathing or making those insane noises that you know that they're there, but you can't see them. So you're feeling it as if they're breathing on the back of your neck as well. So I really like how she was able to convey that, and I love that. I love the mystery element when they're going through trying to figure out what they are, why they're doing this, how do we escape this forest, what are we going to do, like just everything about them. And then having these characters who have been there longer, the characters who haven't been there as long, then the new character, and they don't dive too much into the characters. Now, obviously we have Dakota Fanning in this movie. She is good in the movie. Her character has a backstory to something that happened to her as a child, but she's not really developed. Like, none of the characters are super developed. So you're not really, I wouldn't say you're super attached to them. You're not sitting there like, I want them to survive at all costs. You're more, I think the thing with this movie is you're more intrigued and interested in the other stuff that's happening outside of it. So when you're inside the walls of the coop that they call it, the coop, when you're sitting there, the characters are like, yeah, okay, but you're like trying to look through the windows and that, trying to figure out what is behind that glass, what is there. So I think that is the strongest part of the movie, is that the story itself. When it gets to the third act, let's get to the third act here first. Because the story itself, as you're following it, when it gets to the third act, everything gets revealed what it is. Obviously, twist in here because, you know, it's a family tradition, obviously, to have a huge twist in here. And this movie is no different. There is a twist in this movie as well. I saw the twist coming and I was like, okay, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. But there were some other things in the twist that I didn't expect to happen or actually thought, okay, that's where we're going. So when they reveal what the things are that are behind it all, to me, the third act is definitely the weakest one. So what I think they did wrong is you have this nice mystery story at the start, when everything gets revealed, you're kind of sitting there like, okay, so there's this whole backstory to what they are, and you tease something that has happened in the past with these things, but we don't really superly expand upon them. So I feel like it goes from this mystery thing to this insane fantasy, larger than life sort of scenario where you're kind of sitting there scratching your head like, oh, okay, what? And it doesn't really make sense because what these things are and how they are, it's kind of like, I'm trying to do it without spoiling it because I don't want to spoil it for you guys if you guys want to watch it. But when you're sitting there and they explain what they are and the whole history and everything to do with these things, you kind of scratch your head and go, how did this all happen? How was that able to happen? And it's not expanded upon, so it kind of makes it feel unbelievable at a time where you're kind of like, okay, now we're kind of gone too far here. We went too far with what you're trying to do with all this stuff, and now it's kind of like, am I in, a sort of like a fantasy story now? Because here it felt more realistic, like they're just demonic beings or something like that are like, okay, here we go. This is just a thing that happens in this forest. To now it's like, okay, we are in the realm of fantasy galore, and I feel like it didn't match where we started. If you've seen the movie, I think you might understand where I'm coming from. It's a bit hard to explain without actually going into spoiler territory, and I don't want to spoil it for you because that big thing is that reveal in that. And then I just felt like the third act with the characters in that was kind of like, it was predictable at things, and then I was kind of like, it doesn't really fit in this movie. So I feel like the first two acts, love the first two acts. The third act, I'm not the biggest fan of. So I'm kind of in the middle with this movie at the moment. I think it's shot beautifully though. I love all the stuff in the forest. To me, that was just so great to see the way that it was shot. The coop itself, I thought the way that they were able to shoot that and have these things behind it and make you feel like you're trapped in there with the things around you trying to get in. I really, really like that. There's this beautiful, beautiful shot that I thought was fantastic to showcase you what they are and just how creepy they are. And I love that shot. So I really like that. Like, the performances are great as well. I feel like, look, I don't think this movie's bad. I don't think this movie's like fantastically great. I feel like it's a movie that I feel like I need to watch again. That's what I feel like. I feel like I need to watch again to try and understand a bit more and see if I can connect more things moving forward as I'm progressing in the story that line up to here. Because it at times it does feel random. It feels very random, especially that third act. It just kind of feels random compared to the first two acts. And I was just kind of like, I felt like you just put that in. Like, the third act feels like it's just put in there to have this twist and to have like this deeper, try to tell a deeper sort of story with the things behind it and try to give you a bit more substance to it because we didn't develop the character. I would have preferred if you didn't have all that stuff in the third act and actually develop the characters themselves in the first two acts and develop them, the connections, what makes them special, why did they particularly get trapped in here instead of just a random occurrence. Maybe these things picked them for a reason and lured them there. So it's all that. But overall, the watches, I think it's fine. I think some people might even absolutely love this stuff. And some people will be like, yo, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is stupid. I don't want to, even entertain this. So it's going to be one of those movies. So let me know what you guys thought of The Watchers. If you've seen it, smash it down in the comment section below. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.